Hello, I'm Rick Joyner, and this is my weekly special bulletin, video special bulletin, and I'm addressing some of the major crises in our country. And first thing I'd like to say, I was just in Washington, D.C., where myself and General Jerry Boykin met with a good number of conservative congressmen. I don't believe there were any liberal congressmen in our meeting, but they came out, and we spent a lot of time talking to them, encouraging them, praying for them, laying hands on some of them that asked us to. And I tell you, I was so touched by those folks in Congress who are up there day by day fighting this unbelievable battle, and with very little encouragement. And one of the reasons I'm sharing this, they were so overwhelmingly appreciative of us coming up there to do that, and kept asking, almost begging us, please come back and do this again. Can we do it every month or whatever? And I'm going to try to do that. But these guys are up there every day just getting beat down, but they are not quitting. They're fighting the good fight. But, they did come into the room shoulders slumped, just unbelievable things being passed by this Congress. And they're trying to sound the alarm as best they can, but with very little encouragement. Almost all of the emails and all that they get are, people complaining about this or wanting this to happen. And very few people ever contact them just to encourage their congressman. I would ask you to do that. Be sure they're doing stuff that deserves encouraging. That you want, to encourage means to give courage to. And but the conservatives have almost zero hope of passing anything or stopping anything in this present Congress. And some of the things that are being passed are basic threats to our most basic liberties. And they're trying to sound the alarm. They can't tell if anybody's listening. The press won't pick it up. The present media won't pick up these things. But I've asked them, and they're going to be doing it, sending me details of things being attached to laws. And also, I'm going to start putting them out here. We're going to start putting out the warning every way that we can, just so people can rally. And if you would write your congressman, whichever side of the aisles he's on, it does get their attention. They really pay attention to voters. So we need to do that, and we want to start siding with them and praying for them. I ask you to also consider asking the Lord for encouraging scripture to send them, or whatever, anything that might impart seeds of truth or righteousness for those who are not necessarily walking or voting that way. It would really be helpful, because our most basic liberties right now are in jeopardy. I'm talking about freedom of religion, freedom of speech right here in America. And they're using these crises to pass some bills through Congress. You can't even believe these things are being done in America or being said. And of course, they even if the laws are passed, some have passed the Congress already, they got slipped in through a bill. They'll go to the Senate. If they get passed in the Senate, it's almost certain the president's going to sign them into law, and we will be prosecuted, or can be prosecuted, for reading the Bible in America. Things like that. You won't believe it, but I'm going to get you the evidence of these and the bills and things like this that we really do need to sound the alarm on. This is very real. And if we don't stand up, I believe with the same courage, boldness, and sacrifice that our founding fathers did to save this nation with, we're going to need the same courage, boldness, and spirit of sacrifice to save the nation that they demonstrated in founding this nation. It really is that much in jeopardy. Now, a lot of these people that are submitting these laws, that are signing or voting for these laws, they don't understand what they are. They don't even have time to read them. And they're just being crammed through. And, personally, I still believe our president sincerely thinks he's doing the right thing, means to do the right thing. I don't think he's being mean-spirited about this. And a lot of people think, well, that's really being naive. That's my conviction at this time. I believe he needs Josephs. I believe he needs Daniels who would rise up and stand with him and speak the word of the Lord. I am very convinced he wants the word of the Lord. He just wants to be sure it is. And all those people are getting hit from all sides. We really need to pray for our leaders. Really, desperately need for the Lord to send help at this time, to send the helper, to send the Spirit of truth to our nation, to expose the darkness and reveal the light in these times. It is getting serious. I believe it's getting more serious every single week. But let's, especially support those who are on the front lines of this battle. our congressmen and our senators who are standing and fighting the good fight for us up there. And let's encourage them and support them. Now, we'll have much more to say about that, and I want to address the economic crisis. It does seem, for the last week, the stock market's been going up. That's encouraging, and I'm going to be encouraged with any bit of encouragement we can have in these times, but I'm happy about that. Many think it's just what's called a bear market rally, and it won't last and go back down. I am personally believe we haven't seen the bottom of the stock market yet, or the economic problems. I don't believe all of the problems have yet even been exposed, and I do personally believe the way our government is addressing them, it's something akin to the way they used to bleed patients in order to heal them. I mean, I can't fathom some of the decisions that are being made, how they make any sense to anybody at all as a way to address these issues, but that's where we are. Without divine help, we are in really serious trouble. But another concern I have is I would like to just say, and this is very unpopular at this time, but we need a little sympathy for the CEOs. Now, they're just getting blasted right now. The heads of almost every corporation is being felt like the enemy. Many of the heads and top people on Wall Street feel that this administration has basically branded them as the enemy of the people. And there have been some crooks up there. There have been some people who've done some terrible things, and there still are. And they need to be weeded out, in some cases prosecuted, no doubt. But many of them up there are suffering under an unbelievable onslaught of attacks, and not to mention the daily pressures of that job. Do you know what the lifespan of a CEO of a major corporation in America is? And I'm not talking about their personal lifespan, but the length of time in office as a CEO in America is only 18 months. That's because of the pressures of most of those offices. Most people, that's the average span of time that a CEO will be a CEO of a major corporation in America. Many can't handle it much longer than that. Many don't have time to implement strategies and all that would really turn things around for their companies, because the people don't have patience with them. They want every quarter the stock to go up. And they're under incredible pressures like that. Many of them are sitting there going through this every day where they think they're going to have a heart attack because of the pressure. They're looking at basketball players who make more than they do. And, there are a lot of other factors. So one thing I think we need to do is maybe encourage some of those who are under the most assault right now, and express whatever appreciation we can for those who are trying to lead in these most difficult times to be in leadership. Now that's, we can, I think one of the greatest deceptions ever to come upon any human being and upon humanity in general is our tendency to judge others or judge other people groups after their most extreme elements. There are some CEOs that deserve to go to jail. There are a few, but we can't judge them all that way. There are some unions that are way out of whack, that are just so extreme. They have driven the unions. We want to blame the companies and greed and everything else for driving our jobs overseas. You have to blame the unions for a lot of that too. Those companies, if they were going to compete on the world market, they had to go elsewhere. They just couldn't do it paying union wages here and all, and there was no give on the unions. Now, there are some great unions. I worked for a union one time that would kick people out of the union that they didn't feel were giving their employer a fair day's work for a fair day's wage. There are great unions too. What I'm saying, let's just don't, judge everybody by the most extreme elements. There are great congressmen and senators on both sides of the aisle. And many of the liberal or Democratic congressmen and senators are starting to stand up now and sound the alarm too, that this is madness. Some of these bills are terrible. They're attacking basic, rights of Americans and things like that. Now, I appreciate even more, they take even more heat when they're on that side of the aisle and they start standing up. You understand? They need to be appreciated. When that happens, encourage them. But in all of these things, we need to understand how these are one of the greatest opportunities we've ever had for the gospel. The kingdom is going to prevail. The king is going to prevail. His kingdom cannot be shaken, and it's not shaken through all this that is going on now. And we need to do everything we can to build our lives on that kingdom and represent it well during these times.